Welcome to P Passionate W World, R Radio N Network, LLC, a multimedia company. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Boston, Massachusetts, Liverpool, England, Melrose, Florida, Los Angeles, California, Fullerton, California, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Illinois are one of the many broadcast homes of PWRN, a multimedia company. The world in your hands. And now, without further ado, let me present to you one of our many hosts and their programs.
Good evening, one and all. And fortunately, the call-in thing let me on. Took a while for that to happen. Goodness, this is a time of very heavy hearts, isn't it? And I deliberately planned for this show to speak about hurricanes and also how to help prevent them and also how to help the animals and the people when the worst happens. So I'm going to start with talking with you about a favorite weather work ritual that I did since we're in hurricane season and, gosh, my heart is just for people and animals right now. And I believe this particular ritual was something I did when Hurricane Ivan was coming up Florida. Many hours of preparation and thought, plus a wonderful conversation with my sister, Priestess Omi Aladora Ajamu, bless her soul, brought me to the place and time of this amazing ritual. It has lifted my heart and inspired me, knowing that many of the thousands who have gotten my emails by now have circled up to help avoid this potential Ivan the Terrible. As you read my words, please feel free to work with what appeals to you in your sacred spaces. Do your own rituals, keep the faith, and pass on the empowerment needed to elevate the vibration sufficiently to save a lot of lives. I will continue. And this is for all those folks. I worked a rainbow path of weather magic till 3:45 exactly, 45 minutes, mixing Native American, shamanic, Yoruba, which is Nigerian, Celtic Wicca, and sacred animal teaching. It felt great, and oddly, but perfectly, none of my friends circle with me were here. But all the ancient ones stood with me, as did my black cat Jasmine and my Appaloosa Moon. Tuxedoed cat Merlin watched and worked from the roof, not to mention the spirits of all my animals past who are buried here. I was definitely not alone. And I felt so, so blessed. This solitary experience allowed me to truly deliver myself to the ritual, heart, body, and soul. This potent ritual was evolving moment to moment in absolute humility and awe of the ancient mothers, especially Oya, the African Orisha, which means goddess of the wild winds. As I worked calling in the four directions, I could feel myself connecting with the energies more than I can recall perhaps ever. As I spoke to the ancient ones, I could feel soft, cool breezes wrapping themselves around me as if to console me and answer my pleas. Tears for the innocents, the animals, the children pooled in my eyes till I could barely see. Please, Oya, you who send the fierce hurricane winds, understand that you seek a revolution in the way that mankind devalues the mother and her planet, Yes, I understand that. I understand. Allow us more time for those in challenged parts to choose to move out of harm's way. Please protect us here at Moonhaven, that we may continue to serve as a beacon of light and elevation for those in need. I'm sure it was no accident that I was given my power animals this past weekend, and none too soon. I soared high above the fray with Eagle and walked with my feet solidly connected to the earth with Cougar, whose spirit still lives around the grandmother tree. I had been very frightened and concerned for my own animals when the storm was originally said to be coming right up the center of the state of Florida in our direction. As always, my concern is for my beautiful mare, who has to be out in it. She has a good, solid barn, a pole barn, still has to endure the storms on her own. I always tweak her personal grid before a storm and spray her with flower and gem elixirs to help her be peaceful. I also remind her of her own intuition and connection to her ancestral herd that will surely surround her and protect her. And as I say this, I send this out to those first responders and the people who have animals, that you do the same, that you seek to help your sweet animals in some of these ways. I'm feeling empowered and courageous in the face of this work, yet humble as the small rose quartz turtle that I placed in the center of the grid under the pyramid. Just humble little turtle. The main earth healing grid includes 9 amethysts, 3 of them 25-pound points, with 6 others for Oya, who loves the color purple, and resonates with number 9. They are here in her honor. The pyramid is also braced with 6 pieces of rose quartz, including a 25-pound sphere in the center of the grid, to spread love and harmony for the whole planet. These are surrounded by large points of smoky quartz to repel negativity and work with the shadow realm, and with citrine for mental clarity to open the crown chakra. Smoky celestial crystals will focus on the essentials, grounding the intention and purpose, and much, much more, all pulling me into a deep state, entranced by the energies still streaming through my mind, body, and spirit. I rang my Tibetan bell, calling in positive spirit help from the various realms. As I spoke to the spirits of the 4 directions, I punctuated each plea with a shake of my African rattle. My legs were almost buckling from the intensity of this moment. I was glad to have my staff handy, made from the grandmother tree, wrapped in snake skin, buffalo hide, horse hair, a little bear fur, bells, and a large Isis crystal on top for direction. I felt like I was surely in her cauldron of transformation as the heat began rising through my whole body. I wore a mirror to reflect any dark forces that might be lurking, and a feather in my hair to keep my thoughts flowing, and as always, many, many crystals on my body. After all, I had come to dance with a storm, and a woman must be prepared for these things. I offered some corn with cinnamon and salt to feed the earth spirits as I left my sacred space in the nurturing arms of the grandmother tree. Afterwards, I smudged my lips and turned on the Weather Channel, just in time to see the storm report. My heart went out to the poor Jamaicans who had such fragile lives and homes at that time, and who may not even have that after tonight. May Yemanjah cradle them in her salty arms in those terrifying hours. And I say this now for the people and the animals in Texas, in New Orleans, in Mississippi, all the places that may be in the path. May Yemanja cradle them in her salty arms. Yemanja sesu, asesu Yemanja. Yemanja sesu, asesu Yemanja. Yemanja olodo, olodo Yemanja. Yemanja olodo, olodo Yemanja. She changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. So all of you spiritual folk, do try this at home and pass it on till all danger ceases. Take what you like and need from this and leave the rest. And be creative. Harm to none for the highest good of all. And I am feeling myself slowly re-entering the more mundane space of Moonhaven and will tend to my critters in a cleansing shower. Blessings to you for sharing this work. And I like using the 3 Ds when something is coming. Divert, dissipate, and dissolve. Let that happen. Let that just poof into the heavens, harming none and surprising all, realizing also that it is a cleansing time for the Earth Mother. And now I'll take a little break, and I'll be back with you shortly to talk about some things that you might want to do for your animals. And especially, I'm really putting this out, I'm hoping some first responders, some people who actually are in the throes of this difficulty working with the animals can get something out of the information I'm sharing tonight. Be right back.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Robertson, host of TV Confidential. Thank you so much for listening to our program on PWRN, Passionate World Radio Network. If you like TV Confidential or any of the other programs you hear every week on PWRN, please consider supporting this station by becoming a patron of Passionate World Radio Network through Patreon. It is easy to do. It won't cost you more than a few dollars per month. And best of all, you will help PWRN continue to educate, enlighten, and entertain our global audience of 10 million strong and growing. For more information, go to patreon.com/PWRN. That's Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/PWRN. And thank you again for listening.
Okay, this is Flash Silvermoon right back with you on what the animals tell me. And if you want to know if the storm is moving towards you, moving away, watch the animals. In every disaster type thing, the animals are always knowing what to do and where to be going. And you can just tell with this particular hurricane. My mare was, as usual, hanging around right outside my door, and I used to keep a window open for her. She'd put her head in the window here, and I was watching her, and she was just very chill. Unfortunately, she has passed on, but back in the day, she would put her head in that window, and I watched her, and she was just very relaxed. So I knew that we were going to be fine. If not, she would have been galloping around the house in circles, which was a good idea that something was not quite right. And there was many a time I wished I could just have let her in. But she wasn't a mini horse, and she was a regular-sized, decent-sized horse. And she had been in the house, actually, on a couple of occasions, not on my instruction, I assure you. So, anyway, I work with flower essences, and I work with gem elixirs. The gem elixirs I make myself. The flower essences that I use come from Green Hope Farms, who are, in my opinion, the best on the market. They're in New Hampshire. And when I went to work, I thought I was going to work on the Katrina hounds for weeks. That's what the job was going to entail. A wonderful woman named Joy Droughty from Gainesville, who has a store now called Earth Pets, took a team into the streets of New Orleans doing the kind of work, and I have to say, it's so often, it's not like the ASPCA necessarily, or the Humane Society, or even Red Cross. It's the small groups of devoted, good people who will take it upon themselves to do the thankless work, which is not to say, everybody is working very hard. All the agencies are working very hard. But when you're trying to give some funds and some thanks, that you look also at the little groups of just regular people. I think of the, what did they call themselves? The New Orleans Navy. I think the Cajun Navy, that's what they're called, who are just getting out there. And one of the things that kind of fascinates me about the whole thing, we have been so soaked in horrible, painful racism and hatred for the last months, in no small part to the fact that there is a president that is supporting that to be happening. And, we're not going to blame the storms on anybody. We're just going to say that there's been an enormous amount of hatred. And this storm, although it's been horrific, has also brought such love amongst the people. No one is looking at what color skin, what sexuality, what political. Talking about that. It's just cases where, for the most part, when you watch the news, you see a lot of just plain goodness. The golden rule, live and in action. And as you can tell, the whole thing is kind of choking me up. But there's something very good that is happening inside this particular horror. And when I say that, I'm reminded of when I was at Woodstock, which is a whole other kind of energy. But Hugh Romney, the head of the hog farmers, who was there basically doing service, and he's standing out looking at all the people soaking wet and dirty and muddy, and he says, the New York Times calls this a disaster area, which, of course, Houston is. And he said, there's always a little bit of heaven in a disaster area. And I do see that. Saw this beautiful black woman in one of the places where people were gathered up with their cots and their just almost nothing. And she was leading people singing some kind of wonderful hymn and, just getting people going. And, just seeing guys just plain exhausted going back. Yep, I rescued 100 today. Yeah, I rescued 20. I rescued 500. And they keep going back. No sleep, very little food, certainly not living the life of luxury in any way, shape, or form, and working very, very hard to save as many people as can be saved. And it's true, we're not going to know just how bad this all is for a while, but it's plenty bad right now. And, you know, my heart goes out for the people who were moved, displaced to Houston from Katrina. And now they're getting this horrible thing in Houston. And they say that the pumps, only one of the pumps in New Orleans right now is functional. Can you believe? Only one pump is functional. So the water's going to come, and there's going to be more distress in an area that doesn't need more. A lot of the places still aren't out of FEMA trailers and rot. So it's very important that we really look out for each other, and especially the animals when these folks are trying to move a dog or a cat and moving easily, frightened. Simple way to help them. There's something called Rescue Remedy. I prefer the Green Hope Farms materials, but they're a little, they're harder to get. You can get Rescue Remedy anywhere, and it helps any animal or person who's in shock to kind of come out of it. And sometimes that's what's necessary to move a horse or to move a dog. And sometimes it's not going to work to just put it in their mouth. You can't get that close. So you make spritzers. When I worked with the Katrina hounds, there was a lot of times that we couldn't, an animal putting mouth. So I made and Green Hope to send me, these I personally made, which are also, and you can find on my website, flashsilvermoon.com, and something like Golden Armor is very good, Aura Cleanse is very good, Lithium Quartz is very good. Those are all some very basic ones. I make many more, but those are good basic gem elixirs that you can just spritz, and they'll start to turn the animals around. And they are wonderful. I can just see within minutes changes. And I've worked with, of course, dogs, cats, horses, bears, lions, tigers, monkeys. So I'm not trying to sell you something that might or might not work. It works. And the flower essences will also help you a great deal. If you can't get Green Hope Farms stuff, just go to your local place that would sell health food and drugs sometimes, and you get the Rescue Remedy. And that will help any animal that you try to set out to help. There's a lot that can be done. If you know people who are doing Reiki, bring them in. There's lots of alternative ways to help hands-on and even from a distance. You know, if you can't get there, I can't get there, but I can get on the air and try and talk some people through. And a lot of people, you can't help them all. There's no way you can help them all, and you just have to do the best you can. But it's important, too, for the responders to take these healing remedies because they're going to have PTSD. And so if they can take flower essence. So abandonment and abuse is a good one. Arbor Garden is a good one. Outburst is a good one. St. Francis Water is a good one. These are all from, and of course Animal Emergency. These are all good ones from that group, Green Hope Farms. And if you can't get that, as I say, get rest. You can go through my website and get some /silvermoon.com. But we can all do something. And of course, there's places where you, on my Facebook page, which is under the name Deborah Kotler, there's information about places to send money that won't be a ripoff or a scam. So I'm going to take one last little break, and I'll be with you for a few minutes after this. Stick around.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Robertson, host of TV Confidential. Thank you so much for listening to our program on PWRN, Passionate World Radio Network. If you like TV Confidential or any of the other programs you hear every week on PWRN, please consider supporting this station by becoming a patron of Passionate World Radio Network through Patreon. It is easy to do. It won't cost you more than a few dollars per month. And best of all, you will help PWRN continue to educate, enlighten, and entertain our global audience of 10 million strong and growing. For more information, go to patreon.com/PWRN. That's Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/PWRN. And thank you again for listening.
Ease the pain. And it doesn't hurt to visualize a rainbow, a beautiful people being safe. Visualization doesn't hurt either. It's good if you can image. That's just keep thinking positive, sending really, really positive energy. Some of the funk one to Bob Marley's work. Janis Joplin, who came from Port Arthur, Texas, and that town has been wiped. Hoping your people are doing all right. Many blessings to all of you listening. And please do share, because this information may very well save.
Thank you for listening to Passionate World Radio Network, a multimedia company. You can listen to this program all over again at PassionateWorldRadioNetwork.com, Facebook.com/PWRN, Twitter.com/PWRN, GooglePlus.com/PWRN. Distinguish yourself from the ordinary. And remember, please keep listening.